ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thing where we talk about things. This is, I think, the 4th chapter of the Burland Campaign.
Right.
Yes, and again, we had to confer on what happened next because we weren't really positive, but we're pretty sure that we began the Mexican wrestling section of the campaign.
Yes.
Yep, and this is one that Alan actually ran the first half of it.
Yeah. It was my first time ever running anything, so I kind of flew by the seat of my pants.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad, though. What happened was, as we'd established kind of earlier on, and as we were talking about the series, is there was a Mexican wrestling gang, and they like to do things like drive-by chairings, just drive-by wrestling stunts, things like that. Like they'd pull up to you, pile out of a car, and then do like pile drivers on you and stuff like that, and run away. And they would steal your belt, and after they stole your belt, then you became a Mexican wrestler.
Yep.
So our introduction to this session was we were all hanging around doing our thing, and Mexican wrestlers came up from behind us and smacked us in the back of the head with folding chairs, and then they stole our belts and they drove away. And our characters became Mexican wrestlers. So that was the lucha chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. And once you're infected with the lucha virus, which is what these Mexican wrestlers had, they were spreading the lucha virus. It was a cultured disease. It was supposed to be a super weapon.
Yeah.
It was like a super soldier serum that didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
The first thing I said to everyone, as soon as they got hit, they would get up and I'd be like, "You really want a burrito?"
The first thing that we want. So any kind of stereotype that we could think of, that was what we did. So, I mean, like I'm pretty sure that Joel then that's when he went and he got stuff painted on his van.
Yes.
Then he
Like Day of the Dead Mexican stuff.
Yeah, he got the whole van painted and souped up into a lowrider, so it was like a jet-powered flying lowrider. With I remember, except for one of the things that he drew on the side was a penis. And I remember that was a big deal, because that was like the only expression. His character was a closet homosexual, and it wasn't really a thing that was important at all, except for the fact that he was maybe a little bit more attached to Scuba Steve than the rest of us were. But that was one point in the game that it sneaked out, where he lost his mind and then put a big penis on the side of his van, which was kind of Joel's. I guess that was Joel's expression of that whole thing. And then afterward he painted a big moon over it, so it was no longer a penis. So yeah, he was just like, "Whoa, didn't want to do that. Don't know what I was thinking." So I don't know why being a Mexican wrestler was licensed to do that, but to him it seemed like a really good idea. Put on the mask, no one will know. I don't know if I don't recall if I know he wore a fur coat.
At one point, yeah.
Yeah, but that was because we killed a thrift store owner at some point, and so we found him. Nathan killed him, I think.
I like that that's a detail that got lost.
Yeah, well, it was happening.
We at one point killed a thrift store owner.
Yeah, well, we're not sure when that happened, because at some point we were like, we need superhero clothes, and so like Nathan kills the thrift store owner, and then he's like, guys, we should go to the thrift store, and the owner was dead, and they're like, oh, that's so sad. Well, free clothes anyway. So Nathan got like a secondhand trench coat, as like nerdy, teen kids would do, and then like, and Joel got a fur coat, like it was like a lady's fur coat, but he told her, he goes, it's really warm, and so we're like, okay, Joel, and yeah, so I'm pretty sure that figured into his Mexican wrestler outfit somehow.
Yeah.
And it was very beautiful. But still carried around the monkey wrench. Nathan still had the katana. Scuba Steve still had the harpoon. And I believe that Lyman was still invincible, which made him the world's most boring Mexican wrestler, because he didn't sell the punches.
Yeah. Well, that's what Mil Mascaras did. Mil Mascaras is like a legendary Mexican wrestler, and if you want to see some hilarious stuff, like watch his match with Cactus Jack. He absolutely refuses to sell any of the offense.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So he just takes the punishment and acts like it's not even... Oh.
No Mascaras. Mexican wrestling legend.
A guy who didn't...
Total dick, apparently.
Well, that was Lyman's actual thing. I mean, except that he could still be jostled around by force.
Yeah.
So, it's just that he wasn't ever affected by it, so he would just get back up again until he got tired, I think. I'm pretty sure that he got... Basically what happened is that there was a big event coming up. It was the 5th of July.
Yes.
And so they were... Or not the 5th of July, the 5th of May.
So,
Right.
oh, Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. So Cinco de Mayo. And,
oh, God. Sorry, I just remembered that. The Los Boca thing.
Yeah, that's...
We'll get to it later.
Yeah, that's later. That was... See, again, now I'm just confused at where, because that was like on this... That was on the 5th, and we already knew him by that. See, this is why we say it's strange, is the details don't quite match up, but we have our memories, and we know about all these weird things that happen. And this was actually another pun. I got this pun from the internet, but Cinco de Mayo was a pun that I got from the internet.
Well, with every storyline, we tried to have, like, our main villain, like, what was his name?
Cobb, yeah. Cobb was for the Baseball Furies. The guy for the Star Wars campaign never showed up. I don't remember the name of the guy who did the
Asian male thing.
Yeah.
But the Mexican wrestling campaign had Los Boca.
Yeah, and Los Boca was like a successful. He was introduced to the virus, and he successfully managed to hold on to his personality. And this is actually what was not supposed to happen. Was the guy, the big kingpin of all the crime, Aaron Bassanio, had a brother-in-law, and I don't recall what his real name was. It might have been Vince or something like that. Just something really common. And anyway, though, he was like superhumanly handsome. That was his superpowers. He was superhumanly handsome, and he was just an ordinary guy, similar thing, like from Jersey or whatever. And but he had his Aaron Bassanio's sister had fallen in love with this guy, this Vincent guy. But Aaron didn't like Vincent. He didn't like him at all. And so he got him enrolled in this super soldier program. He convinced him to do it because Vincent was an idiot. And so he got him enrolled, and they went through the program, and unlike El Gran Luchador, who went crazy and broke out and then was a spreader of the disease, Los Boca actually just became stronger from it. So he gained superpowers, but he was also still an idiot. And so he was actually super strong, super fast, and he could flip everywhere. And he was based on Sportacus, actually. So imagine like Sportacus, but maybe dressed more like El Dorado.
Yeah.
So El Dorado from the Super Friends, with a big red cape and like the golden outfit. He's running around like, "Hello, my friends. I am here to wrestle and do this stuff." And so Los Boca uses.
So, was the time he gave me a ride before this campaign?
See, I don't remember, cause. Maybe it was, because maybe we did that. And then...
At one point, Los Boca, who's supposed to be the villain of the Mexican wrestling campaign, pulls up to Grouchy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, "One of my fellow Mexican wrestlers."
Yeah, you're part of my gang. Come on, get in the vehicle.
Okay.
I'll drive you home. Where are you living? And...
I'm living in the house with all of the other Mexican wrestlers.
And you were, yeah. But Grouchy was patient zero. And Los Boca should have recognized him. But it was one of those, like, Los Boca pulls up, and then, like, is one of those, like, is looking over the window of the car, rolls it down. I take the roll to see if he recognizes Grouchy. No. Oh, come get in my car! How's it going, friend?
And there was the whole thing, like, the whole ride home, Los Boca kept almost getting in an accident because he was looking in the mirror the whole time.
Yeah, he kept looking in the mirror and, like, adjusting his hair and checking his teeth. And then he would, like, look at Grouchy, too. Like, he never watched the road.
Grouchy kept going, "Road."
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because it didn't matter. Los Boca would get another car. He was rich because he was connected to Aaron Bassanio. And it was through Los Boca that we learned our next thing. Because I remember him divulging a bunch of really important details about the criminal organization to you.
Yeah.
Because he was just driving along, and then you were like, and he was just talking about it. He's like, "Oh, it steams me up always talking to Courtney about this and that." And then be like, "Oh yeah, that Courtney, what do we plan in next, boss?" And he goes, "Oh, we were planning a big gambling ring up north, you know, up with that farmland and everything. And so
Okay.
yeah, so I just told them all like where was it gonna be, what time it was gonna be, you know. He's like how many people were gonna be there. That was like our big just like, you know, here you go. This is what's going to happen next. So yeah, and that was all on because Los Boca had like the lowest intelligence in the game. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that he was. But that bit us in the butt later because he was also the only character who was really truly spec'd to kick ass.
Yeah.
And it was funny though because the party could never actually beat him in combat, but he was really easily distracted. He was friendly. Like think like Rainbow Dash, but if Rainbow Dash worked for a criminal organization,
right?
Or the Rainbow Dash, our parody version of Rainbow Dash, which is just like, hey, like, do you like this book? And oh my god, I love this book. Let's talk about the book. Let's stop doing evil for a little bit. We can do evil later. I want to talk about the book. So yeah, so that was Los Boca. And anyway though, so we had Cinco de Mayo, and down at the town square, all the wrestlers had congregated to have a big, you know, battle royale, Royal Rumbles.
They're doing King of the Ring style tournament bracket.
Yep, and Grouchy was present. Grouchy was there. He didn't recognize us because we had the masks on.
Grouchy was also in a different wrestling costume and going under a different name.
Oh yeah, he'd done that. So we didn't know who he was either. Not that it mattered because we'd lost our minds. We would have wrestled Grouchy for our belts anyway. And so anyway, I think Los Boca was there too.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because I think he stepped in at the last minute and just clobbered. I think he just clobbered Nathan.
I think yeah. The semifinals was Nathan and Grouchy.
Yeah.
And
you was
Grouchy stepped down once he realized who you were.
No. Well, I think that Nathan. It was because what happened? Because I did something. Because I remember, I think that you might have taken my mask off, and then I had to fight Los Boca.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I remember that everyone got in the deal, and we got through the battles, and we eliminated everyone but ourselves, and then we were the top wrestlers, and that was really great. Except for we didn't really have a lot of memory of the event, but Lyman I think got thrown out of the ring, and he lost. He got demasked. That was how the finals were being resolved. Is that if you lost your mask, you lost the match, and Nathan though. Nathan, with the Darkness Cloud, I'd been dumping all my points into Dodge, Sneak, and that Darkness ability.
Yeah.
So Nathan was still basically like a kid. I mean, he wasn't very strong, he wasn't very fast, he didn't have a lot of stamina. But that power now had gotten so good, that he didn't need stamina to operate it anymore.
Yeah.
And he was so good with his Dodge ability that a lot of times he managed to get through battles just on virtue of like he was the glass, not even glass cannon. It was just like if I got hit once, I would be knocked out. But I got through all the way to the finals on the basis that no one could hit me or no one could find me, because I was so deep in the cloud they couldn't tell where I was, and I kept moving around, and the cloud would linger, and it was emanating from me. So I managed to get all the way to the end, and then I fought Grouchy, and I remember it was one of those things. It was like a David and Goliath thing almost, where it was just like. Grouchy would have squashed me, but you couldn't roll high enough to get through the cloud of darkness.
Right.
So I managed to get around you, and I think I still had that katana. And weapons were allowed.
Right, yes.
So I'm pretty sure that
No, they weren't allowed, just no one could see you had it.
Oh. Okay. So I was cheating.
Yeah.
I was a bad guy. I believe I was El Diablo Negro.
Abismo Negro.
Okay, yes. Okay. So yeah. No one knew that I had a weapon. I guess I was cheating, and I just kept cutting Grouchy up a little bit, and then disappearing into the cloud, and just moving around, and I think finally, you might have tapped, and then I dropped the cloud, and you saw I had the katana, and you got mad, and you demasked me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. And then Los Boca came into the ring, and he was like, I was the last year's finalist, and I've come here to wrestle this year's finalist. And so he got up there, and I'm pretty sure that it was a ladder match.
Yes, it was.
Yes, because I do recall that the ladder became a weapon right away.
Yes.
And that the ladder had too far of a reach, and it was one of those that was like, Nathan couldn't dodge that, so he just swept the ladder across the ring, just into the smoke, and it was like Nathan, he couldn't get out of the way of that, so Nathan got just knocked out cold. And that was it. Los Boca went home with the prize money.
He sure did.
Yeah.
That was our big wrestling tournament.
Yes, it was. And I remember after that, we found El Gran Luchador wandering the streets, defeated, very dejected about the whole thing.
Yeah.
His mask was off. You were talking like a guy from New Jersey again.
Yes.
The whole event had actually suppressed the El Gran Luchador personality, and the guy from Jersey had come back. But you hadn't realized that you were from Jersey quite yet. Because I think you were still really sad about it.
No, remember I called my family.
Oh, did you?
And they were like, apparently this happened like once every few months. And they were like, okay, it's not this again.
I don't know what to do for you, dear.
Yeah.
We moved on. We need to stop this Mexican wrestling thing. You never did.
Nope.
Yeah. But we convinced Grouchy that he was the greatest wrestler ever. We got the mask back on him, which he hadn't removed for however long.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And so we got him back on the team. And we went, and using the information that Grouchy had gathered from Los Boca, we found the headquarters of the leaders of the wrestling circle.
Which by this point was just one guy.
No, it was a group. It was a circle of them.
Are you sure? Because is this when we found El Matematico?
I don't know. Maybe. I just recall we went up north into the farmland, and I'm pretty sure that there was a bull.
Yes, there was a bull. Okay, before this is when we found El Matematico, who's the guy who created the Lucha virus.
Okay.
He also, before creating the Lucha virus, created Mr. Potato Meta, so everyone in the party instantly hated him.
Mr. Potato Meta was a character who periodically reoccurred as we were doing stuff. It was one of those things. I don't think that he actually got in the ring as a wrestler.
No.
If he did, it was a very short-lived wrestling match.
Yes. But he created Mr. Potato Meta, so I think it was Joel who was instantly like, we hate this person.
We must stop them.
And honestly, like, he did lots of like revelatory dialogue. I had like a lot written for him, and then you guys just beat him up.
As we do.
Yeah.
He was bad. He had to be shot with a harpoon gun. So that's what we did. And yeah. But I recall after that we went up north into the farmland areas, and I believe that we got attacked by a bull.
Yes.
And that wasn't due to anything. That was just us breaking into someone's yard, and there was a bull in the yard. And that didn't go well for us. So we had to combine our superpower might. And I'm pretty sure the bull was a big deal for like Joel, Steve, not Lyman so much, but Nathan too. We didn't want anything to do with the bull. I'm pretty sure that was a big problem we ran into. Don't believe that we killed the bull. I think that there was a farmer there though who then complained about I think we were prowling around looking for their headquarters, for their hideout. And we couldn't find it, and we got in this guy's yard, and then we got attacked by a bull, and then a farmer came out and said, what are you doing to my bull? And we said, we're looking for these wrestlers. And he goes, oh, them! I hate them! They're so loud, and they're so, they break all my stuff.
They break all the furniture.
They wrestle the bull all the time. And so he led us out to where they were, and then we went down there. And I remember that then, we broke into their place, and they were all playing, flamenco guitar and rolling dice and doing stereotypical, Antonio Banderas. Imagine if you've ever seen Puss in Boots, the movie, all that crap, where they're down there in the basement and they're playing, instruments. So that stopped, and some of them had knives, there were baseball bats, and I remember at the bottom, the biggest, burliest, strongest Mexican wrestlers. That's where the circle of organizers was, And for some reason, something compelled us to put Lyman on point.
Yeah.
I think it was just the fact that Lyman was invincible. And so we had Lyman go in, and it was one of those things like Lyman had gotten really bold because he was very used to not being touchable by anyone. So he walked in, and as soon as he did, one of the wrestlers just shoved him, and then they propped up a chair against the door, and then it was just Lyman versus the world. And so what they thought they were going to do is kill Lyman and then move on to the rest of us. So they all stood around Lyman beating him with baseball bats, which couldn't kill him, it couldn't physically damage him, but it did knock him unconscious.
Yeah.
And so they broke their baseball bats just wailing on him. And then Lyman started to wake up. And they're just all like, what do we do with this? Yeah. So I think eventually we broke down the door and we killed off all the wrestlers. And that was the end of the Mexican wrestling gang. At least as far as an organized group. The virus was still spreading.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we couldn't stop it completely, but we at least prevented the organized part. So now it was a disorganized plague on Burland.
I mean, we ran a few follow-up things to the Burland campaign.
The Mexican wrestlers were still a huge thing. I think they ballooned.
There was such a huge thing, in fact, that the richest man in Burland
ran a taco stand.
Was Taco Bob, who started off with a taco stand, and that made him the richest man in the entire city.
Because it was all that the Mexican wrestler virus-infected people wanted to buy for food. They thrived on it. We don't know how, but that was an effect of the virus.
Yeah.
Is that you could eat tacos exclusively. Yes.
So yeah.
It had some benefits. I mean, think how much money you would save if you could just be happy with that.
I also think at this point, right after this campaign ended, is when I was able to buy off the jetpack.
It might have been. I don't know. I remember you using it though to stalk Nathan and Katrina, because for a while you were their annoying neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah, and they kept trying to move to get away from you, and they would commandeer another house. Because there were a lot of people who had moved away from Burland by this point because the crime had gotten so bad that you couldn't live there if you were an honest person. It was terrible.
So Grouchy decided he needed a home.
Yeah.
So he broke into one and decided he lived there.
Yeah, well, he just, it was one that Grouchy, Nathan, and Katrina all decided that they were going to live in a place, and Grouchy became the neighbor. Except he wanted it to be like a Seinfeld thing, so he kept poking his head in to see how we were doing, and it was like we weren't doing anything. So then Grouchy would create hijinks, so that we would have an exciting sitcom life. And so like he would go into our bathroom and like break the plumbing, and then we'd come out and be like, "Oops, I broke the plumbing." We're like, "God damn it! Oh, Grand Luchador, go home." Okay, guys.
All right, later, guys.
And then you would come back in 5 minutes and break something else.
Oh no, guys!
Broke the
A bunch
toaster.
of stuff got jammed into the food processor.
Oh
It was rocks.
no. It's terrible. It was like the worst sitcom ever. The whiny little teenage kid and a fully grown woman who didn't know what to do with it all. That was really my favorite part, was just all the whole thing, just trying to get someone to GM like a fully, because we were all teenagers at the time, so trying to get someone to GM like a fully grown woman who was trying to get her life together in a town that was run by criminals, where the only people that she could interact with, for some reason, was a bunch of immature superheroes who had no idea what they were doing with their lives. So, yes, Katrina hated us.
Yeah.
She wanted to leave, but she couldn't because she was on my character sheet. She was my sidekick, but she didn't know. So, yeah. But anyway, that was chapter 4. So, 4, I think.
Yes.
Yes. So, that is it for that. I suppose we will catch you later, everybody.